Hello everyone. Let's look at the definition of ready and definition of done in Scrum framework. Definition of ready is a set of agreement that tells the team when something is ready to begin. Definition of done is a list of activities that need to be completed by the development team so that the product will meet the customer needs. The product backlog and sprint backlog is one of Scrum's most important artifacts. The product backlog contains all of the features and requirements that a team might supply to fulfill a certain goal. A product backlog is a list of tasks in a specific order. The product owner determines this order, which is usually based on business value. The sprint backlog gets its information from the product's backlog. The product backlog contains all of the product's user stories, whereas the sprint backlog contains the list of user stories that the team will handle in the future sprints. According to Scrum framework, throughout the sprint planning, the product owner will give the product backlog's top priorities, and the team must choose which stories they will be able to work on during the sprint based on their capacity. However, it is essential that the defined user stories are ready to successfully bring items into the current sprint. Adding non-ready user stories into a sprint leads to issues during the implementation phase. Developers are unlikely to produce high-quality code if they work on undefined user stories. Let's take the example of a customer going to a restaurant. She's ordering a burger with a slice of cheese and fries from the chef. Before starting to cook, the chef must ensure that he has most of the necessary ingredients, as well as a cooking burner, a pan, and other kitchen utensils. Since these are the items that a chef cannot begin without, they represent the definition of ready for a chef to prepare any dish for his customers. The definition of ready is the checklist of what needs to be done on a user story before the team can apply it in the next sprint. The definition of ready is not included in the Scrum guide for a reason. The definition of ready should not be used as a phase gate for sprint planning or to push away with responsibility. It should instead serve as a reminder to the team of what must be accomplished during backlog refinement. Most teams start with a blank definition of ready and add items as needed. The definition of ready should expand and grow as the team's working pace and knowledge of what makes an effective use of story improves. A typical definition of ready might be as follows. The team understands the user story. The user story has clear business value. The user story estimated. The user story dependencies are identified. The user story is small, and the user story has acceptance criteria defined. The team would bring stakeholders to a sprint review at the end of the sprint to show them the finished user stories. These user stories that have been finished should meet the definition of done. If we use the chef at the restaurant as an example, once he has completed the customer's order, we must verify that it is truly completed by confirming all the necessary items to close it. Did he deliver the order as per the acceptance criteria of the customer? Is the food warm and delicious? Is it brought on time? Is it nicely cooked? Is the food presented on good plates? Is the pan and kitchen equipment clean? And are the remaining ingredients returned to the place? So, this is the checklist indicating that the chef is finished with this order and that it has been fulfilled. Having a definition of done aids the team in ensuring that the finished product is free of undone work and ready to ship. The finishing often is a checklist of the work that the team is supposed to finish successfully before declaring the work to be potentially shippable. An example of the definition of done: the user story is built without errors, the user story is tested against acceptance criteria, user story demoed to stakeholders, user story accepted by the product owner, the documentation is updated. The acceptance criteria and the definition of done are not the same. The difference between these two is that the definition of done is widely applicable to all user stories, whereas the acceptance criteria is particular to a single user story. Each user story's acceptance criteria will vary depending on the story's requirements. However, to finish the user story, both the definition of done and the acceptance criteria must be met. During the retrospective, both the definitions of done and ready are usually discussed. The team can then revise and expand them based on fresh information.